Mayor.
The Village of Lincoln Heights Committee of the Whole is now in session. Today's date is Monday, October 26th. The time is now 6:40. Roll call, Ms. Randolph.
Mayor Ruby Kenzie Mumfree,
Present.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson,
Present.
Councilman Durant Daniels. I see he is on the screen, but his mic is muted. So I'll come back to Councilman Daniels. Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter,
Present.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber,
Present.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell,
Present.
Councilman Durant Daniels. I see that you're present, but your mic is muted.
I'm here, present.
All right, thank you. We have 6 who are present, Mayor. We do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Today, Council, we have Tom Carroll from Silverton, Village Manager and Volunteer Consultant, and he is here this afternoon to go through the CDBG-CV grant. So with that being said, Mr. Carroll, you're
Thank
on.
you. Thank you, Mayor and council members. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Just a reminder, I think I've met most of you at various First Suburbs or Municipal League meetings. So it's a pleasure to see you. Sorry it's not in person. I am the village manager in Silverton. I've been in that role for about almost 7 years. And I recently had occasion to run into Mayor Mumfree. And I learned through that interaction with the mayor that Lincoln Heights was in between village managers at the time, at current. And so I offered to help Lincoln Heights with application for a CARES Act grant opportunity. You are all probably familiar with the Community Development Block Grants program that we all participate in with Hamilton County. There was an additional pot of money that the county made available to jurisdictions like Silverton and Lincoln Heights called CDBG Coronavirus or CDBG-CV. And the county put out applications to jurisdictions, I want to say in August or September. And with this $2 million group of money, pot of money, programs were made available for initially up to $50,000 for one jurisdiction, no more than one grant per jurisdiction. And they've now raised it up to $100,000 per jurisdiction, with one stipulation that all of the grants have to be coronavirus related, which is broadly defined, but there are some restrictions on it. So it's not as though Silverton or Lincoln Heights could use this money for any normal CDBG function, but we have to use them for something related to the coronavirus. So with the mayor's permission, I met the mayor at Memorial Park. I brought out the consultants that Silverton works with the Climbers groups who helped us put together our application. And I should say, just so everyone's aware, 2 things. One, Silverton already applied for and received a grant application. We received the one and only grant that the village could receive. So my involvement in trying to help the village of Lincoln Heights doesn't conflict at all with my assistance to Silverton, because we've already obtained the grant that I'm offering to help with. And then secondly, Mayor Smith and council are all aware of and supportive of my desire to help Lincoln Heights. So they're very interested in helping if we can. So I met with the mayor at Memorial Park, and I brought out our consultants from the Climbers group, and we put together an idea. And Ms. Randolph, I don't know if you have that graphic available to share.
I won't be able to share it. I did pass it out to council.
Thank you. Very good.
So it has to be someone else that has access to sharing documents, but I'm not one of those persons.
So Stephen, can you share give Mr. Carroll the availability to share his screen?
Yes, I can make him a co-host.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Am I a co-host now?
Yes.
Okay. I can't see. Are you able to see the graphic that I have up on my screen now?
Mm-mm. Do you know how to share screen, Mr. Carroll?
Well, I'm
You-
afraid I might have to learn something new. Here it is.
Yeah.
I will share my screen. Is that working now?
It's starting to. There we go.
There.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So this is a graphic that the Kleinders Group prepared after our walk with the mayor of Memorial Park. And just a couple of things. There's a couple of photographs of your existing playground that has been closed, it's my understanding, for most of the coronavirus period, probably since March, as well as the football field. As well to the left is an aerial photograph that shows Memorial Park. And there are two issues that I wanted to point out with CDBG grants. One of the requirements is that facilities be made accessible when you spend CDBG grants. And as things stand today, our engineer's opinion is Memorial Park is not accessible for two reasons. One, the entranceway off of, I guess that's Lindy Avenue to the south, the grade of that is steep, and it's steeper than ADA standards would allow. And then in addition, once you get up into the ball field area, you are on grass. There's not an improved trail, and so turf or grass is not considered an accessible surface. So when I presented this fact to the county, I said the village of Lincoln Heights could probably spend over $100,000 just making this area accessible for somebody with a disability in a wheelchair, for example. And that's before we even address the playground. And so I said we could do that, and that would be a valid CDBG coronavirus grant. But I also then shared the photograph of the playset and shared my concerns that that is a very outdated playset. I, as a village manager, have concerns about that playset and the swings and things like that, where I wouldn't want, residents and particularly the toddlers and youngsters using that, because there's a few outdated type pieces of equipment. So I said to the county that we should also replace this playset. And so combined, our engineer came up with an estimate that we could spend about $230,000 on construction, which would replace the playset, as well as provide those accessibility improvements to help people get to the playground. And the mayor shared a vision of a future potential walking trail around the football field, which would be, those are all COVID related expenses, because what they do is they make the park accessible to people, and so they can recreate outside, and that is an eligible grant expense. The design for this type of work, if Kleinders does the work, and that's entirely up to council, but I asked them to reduce their fee to maximize the grant amount to be spent on the improvements to the village's park. And they've come back and said they would do the work for $20,000, including the survey. So that's a discounted rate if the village is interested. And I submitted this grant with the mayor's blessings on request to the village, to the county, excuse me, asking them to provide this grant. We have, I don't want to say verbal approval, but we have strong support for it. It's in excess of the $100,000 grant that other communities are getting, but I think the county sees the benefit to the village in replacing this playground and improving accessibility. So we anticipate the county will give its formal blessing here very soon. A couple of things. We are required under the county's rules to do a 5-day notice period to invite public comment before the award of the grant. We haven't started that. I had reached out to your village solicitor last week, and I didn't realize that he was out of the office because of a family issue. And I hadn't heard from him, which is totally understandable now that I know that he had a family issue. So we haven't done that 5-day public comment period, and we would have to follow whatever Lincoln Heights traditionally does. I have drafted a public notice about this project, and I'd be happy to share that with Ms. Pope or anyone else on staff who can handle the administrative work of actually making sure that the public is aware of that, however Lincoln Heights does that. In addition, I drafted a resolution for council to consider to engage the Binders Group to do this design work for $20,000, and that would be predicated on the county approving the grant. So those are two things that are required before the grant can be formally approved. The other thing I would say, and this is a recommendation, we, having visited Memorial Park just once with the Climbers Group, think that the location of that playground could be moved onto the other side, and that's the picture in the lower right-hand corner, could be moved to the lower right-hand side or to the other side of the stands, which would help allow parents watching football players to also keep an eye on kids that might be playing on the playground, but get it a little closer to the entranceway so that way we don't spend as much money on accessibility expenses. Having said that, we think that should be, we should engage the community and have a public information meeting on a Saturday in the park so that we can find out what the residents themselves think about that. There may be something about the way that park is used that I don't know because I've only been there once. And so we think a community engagement process would be really helpful. Once the grant is approved, Clingers is engaged, and the mayor is ready to go to the next level of design. So I simply wanted to say I'm happy to do all this work on behalf of the village of Lincoln Heights. And I think the mayor wanted me to present this information to you. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Okay. Yes, Vice Mayor?
I don't really have a question. I just would like to say thank you for helping us out with this. And my next thing I would want to know, will this solve our easement situation that we talked about last week?
I believe no. I think the easement issue that you're talking about is regarding the old elementary school, which actually has sort of off of Lindy, there's sort of a block access point there. The village needs to acquire some sort of easement. This will not solve it, but from the moment that you get in the park, basically from the ticket booth in the interior of Memorial Park, it'll solve the accessibility issues from that point on the interior of the park, but we still have that issue to work through on the easement.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have a question?
I do, Ms. Mayor.
Okay, yes, Mr. Mitchell.
Mr. Carroll, how you doing?
Never better. Thanks for asking.
All righty. So I have a couple of questions. So the first one is, how does this impact our Odnr grant? We have about, I guess, let's just say $75,000. And in our grant, I'm glad for what you're doing, because we do address the ADA, some of the ADA issues, and I'm assuming that when we talk about the playground, that also is ADA. So we can kind of look at what we have in our Odnr grant and pair the two. But because of those funds, this is it. There's no conflict or anything there. It's just that we have some extra funds. And do we need to report that with ODNR? Do we show that as a match or no?
So I'm afraid I'm not really in the best position to answer that question. It's a great question. Ms. Pope has made me aware of and the mayor had mentioned it, and Joy Pearson from the county had mentioned how successful the village had been in getting that ODNR grant. But I haven't reviewed that grant application to ODNR, and I'm not aware of the specifics of that project. It makes great sense, Ms. Mitchell, as you say, to combine the two if it adds to the overall project. That said, you may be able to do them as two separate standalone projects.
Okay,
One of the issues with the CDBG funding from the county, there is a desire from the federal government and from the county to have these funds put to work as quickly as possible. There is a deadline to complete the projects by September of next year. So that's still a long ways away. And so there may be time to coordinate that with the ODNR project.
okay,
But I would not recommend that the village miss its deadline or not have these playground improvements done as quickly as possible in order to try and make two things that aren't naturally together go together. If I were in your shoes, I would want this playground replaced as quickly as possible so the kids can use it in the spring.
okay. So how do you think that would, the size of the playground is larger or the same size?
Similar size. I mean, I think that's going to be a design issue, Ms. Mitchell, that once we get into the specifics of what the community says they want on that playground, I think that's the importance of that public meeting and citizen comment.
All right, so in looking at that then, so to look at take our playground, I mean, I'm sure we can spend the money the way we want based on, as long as we meet most of what's in the grant. I would think the first thing that we need to look at, even with the playground, is we're trying to get the water on the field so that we can have restrooms.
Okay, so I don't know that the restrooms and the water extension, I'm pretty sure that's going to exceed the budget for this grant. I think this grant standalone is going to, and you see a cost estimate, I should point out, in the lower center of this graphic. You can see that the accessibility is about 140.
Oh, yeah. I didn't mean for you, I just meant for us, that I would think that, whatever we have to do, to work together as to where those playground bathrooms, I think that we just have to make sure that whether we go with Cleaners or CT, who we have, we do both. It just has to be the partnership there. That's all that I was really concerned about.
Sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you were
That's okay.
talking about with this project.
And I would just ask that the resolution that you drafted, if you could still send it to Deepak so that he can go over to his assistant, that would be great.
Yes, ma'am, we'll do.
To Donaldin and Miller. Thank you, Mayor.
So, anyone have any other questions? Ms. Jeter, I can't see you because he has the.
Yeah.
No, you can see me now. I had stopped the video, but I want to say, want to thank Tom Curl, and I also want to thank you for bringing him on board, and so that we can see some progress in this project. This is a nice project for the community and for the children.
Okay, thank you.
I have one little question.
Yes,
why does it
ma'am.
say Wyoming Park?
That's the name on the map.
Oh, okay.
So, and I can just add a little bit. That is the name on the aerial photograph that the Kleinder's group. It's probably from Google or something like that. I didn't learn until after they prepared this graphic on October 1st. And when I spoke to Ms. Pope, she clarified for me that it's Memorial Park. So that'll be changed on this graphic for sure. But that is how it appears on Google or the county auditor's website.
Interesting.
Yeah. Mr. Daniels, I can't see you, but I just wanted to make sure everyone from council.
Appreciate it. I have my hand. Yes, ma'am. I have my hand. I just want to thanks Tom putting this together and coming by and explaining what is Mr. Rob Weisberger from Loveland. Told me to tell you hello. We've been speaking back and forth, and actually things of this project actually came up. So with that, my only question is, as I'm looking at the location of the new playground, I think it makes sense to move that just logistically. The spot that you have it is actually kind of on a hill, and then it plateaus a little bit. Just so I'm clear, are we talking about moving that playground on top of that kind of plateau, on top of the hill, or is it still kind of in that divot? And the only reason I'm asking is because I look at the walking track, it looks like the walking track will cut right through the playground. So, that's my only questions on that. And I'll let you go ahead and explain that one.
Sure. It's a great question. The walking trail is going to be tight, as you know, because it's basically almost going to be, I mean, there are some parts of the football field where we really don't even have, like you have in a high school football field, where you could put in a 400-meter track around there. So it's tight. You're right. I think the specific location of the playground, could move 10 feet one way or the other, Mr. Daniels, from where it's proposed. And there might have to be some additional earthwork done in order to create a high spot for it. That's going to be something that the engineers are going to look at and figure out, how do we do both? And they'll want to look at what are the long-term plans. Ms. Mitchell had mentioned bathrooms and water at some point. It's probably a good idea, as we site this playground, to figure out where does the village want that to go, so that we make sure we don't do anything with this project conflicts with that or makes that more expensive. So all of those items should be brought together in the actual design process, which hasn't started yet. But I think this is just sort of a preliminary location, just kind of showing where it would go, so that the residents have something to react to when we go out into the public meetings. But again, it might shift a little or a lot depending on design and residents.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Baber, do you have any questions?
Oh, no questions. Other than we also was hi, Mr. Curl, and thank you for being here with us. We was also thinking about some type of entertainment where we could entertain on the park as well. So we might want to keep that in mind when we do whatever we need to do.
And I think that would be great to bring up in the public input and staff, whether it's your new village manager, whenever you hire her or him to take the project over, or just even a better understanding with where within the park you might envision that going, so that we can make sure that it doesn't conflict. I think that's a great point. That's sort of that big picture. We have the short-term project it's a big project. It's $250,000 project, but we have that relatively short-term project, and then the big longer-term renovation of the park.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. All right. So, Mr. Carroll, I want to thank you for coming out. It was important for me to have Mr. Carroll come to see. I know we had the other, I just want to let council know I had asked him before the CT consultant came out, and so I allowed him to come on out because I wasn't aware of Mr. Duke having CT come out until after I had asked Mr. Carroll. So just wanted to let council know. But I want to thank Mr. Carroll for coming out, and that's why I did not want any legislation to come out. I informed him that our council likes to see information before we decide to vote on it. And he was clear and understood that. So we would bring that up in our next council meeting, and that would give you all a chance to go over everything and go over the legislation and all that.
I got one more question, Madam Mayor, if that's okay.
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Tom, you had once wrote it was like almost like an article almost. It's on the first suburbs of Hamilton County, and just kind of how they all kind of grown and fall and certain things of that nature. My reason I'm asking that is this specific location here is kind of key to economic development of kind of our village. This kind of central spot here. Just curious, just out of your recommendations, as you kind of looked at it, do you feel that the best spot for this area would still be some type of recreational park, things of that nature? Just asking your opinion. Not, if you don't have one, that's cool too. But just kind of, and I'm asking because, like you said, you've looked at different neighborhoods throughout Hamilton County, specifically the first suburbs. And I was kind of curious, as you talk about city planning and long-term planning, do you still feel like this is the best specific use of this space? I'm just curious.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Daniels. It's a great question. So happy to share a lot of first suburbs research that I did with the village. And I was also on the Urban Land Institute Technical Advisory Panel, I think that met last year. And we looked at some things for Lincoln Heights, and that was a pleasure to be on that. I also serve on a county advisory committee that advises the county commissioners on economic development grants. I serve on that whenever Silverton doesn't have an application, because I couldn't serve on it while I was submitting an application on behalf of the village. So I'm aware of the fact that the village of Lincoln Heights owns the former high school site right off of Lindy. And I know that there's a former elementary school, which is what you need the easement from in order to create access to Memorial Park. From my initial perspective, and this is just preliminary, having a recreational space right behind two potential redevelopment sites is a real benefit to those redevelopment sites on Lindy Avenue. They could really enhance the marketability and economic benefit of whatever happens on those sites from a redevelopment standpoint. Land next to parks on average tends to be at least 10% more valuable than land not next to parks, according to some Texas economists. And I believe that. So I think the village has some key economic development parcels off of Lindy Avenue. And I'm sure I'll be happy to look at them more specifically with that first suburban viewpoint and give you more detail if you're interested.
Thank you.
Okay. So any other questions? Okay, I don't want to miss anybody. All right. Then if nothing further, thank you, Mr. Carroll, again for coming and giving the presentation. We really appreciate that, and we'll be discussing it again at our next council meeting in November.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Have a good evening.
You too.
All right. Thank you. Okay. All right. Okay. So next, we'll have candidate Charlie Winburn for Hamilton County Treasurer. Thank you, Mr. Winburn, and you can unmute yourself. They have your name spelled wrong too. It's W-I-N-E Burn. W-I.
Winburn, W-I-N-B-U-R, yeah.
Yeah, take the E out. Okay, well, Mr. Winburn, you have the floor.
Well, first of all, let me thank you, Madam Mayor Mumphrey and Vice Mayor.
Oh,
can you all hear me? Everybody's trying to call me while I'm trying to talk to you. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes. Somebody was calling. I hit the decline button real quick. So first of all, let me thank you, Mayor Mumphrey and members of council, Vice Mayor, City Manager, and all the wonderful people that are listening to us. I'm running for Hamilton County Treasurer to improve the quality of life for all the citizens, and especially Lincoln Heights is so dear to me. Just to be brief, I don't know if many of you wonderful people know, I grew up in Lincoln Heights. I went to Lincoln Heights High School. I went to the elementary school. I also worked for, I'm probably older than most of you all there. If not, I am, I believe. I used to campaign for Mayor Ziegler that used to be there when I was like 12, 13 years old. I also grew up in foster home, one foster home there, the Willingham Foster Home on Chicago. And I went to Mount Moriah Baptist Church. And one of the things I see you trying to get rid of that target range, and I could definitely understand it. But when I grew up there, I used to make my money on the weekends with Monroe Wiley. He passed, deceased, and we used to actually pick lead out of that target range, and we would sell it on Saturday. My foster dad would sell it. We would make $50 a week, and I would give my foster dad $5, and me and Monroe Wiley would split it. So I just wanted to let you all know I did make some money off of that target range.
Oh, there was some economic development with it. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. And so, and we used to sell berries and do all that stuff there. But I do, first of all, I have an agenda on, if everyone has the opportunity to go to Winburn for Treasury, winburnfortreasury.com. I have my 7-point plan. If I could just take just 2 minutes, in there it talks about number one, financial stewardship. The county treasurer's office is a sleeper. A lot of folks don't know that office collects $1.3 billion a year. And after they give all the money to the zoo, the parks, and mental health agencies and crime information center, the county treasurer is left with about $600 to $800 million where the county treasurer is responsible for investing. So one of the things that I want to do, if elected, is to create an economic development roundtable where we study the feasibility of helping villages like Lincoln Heights on job creation, entrepreneurship, expansion of your tax base. And one of the things that I want to do with the county treasurers roundtable is to establish a residential and commercial linked deposit program whereby we can loan money to financial institutions to help grow and create new home ownership. For example, in Lincoln Heights, Laughlin, Woodlawn, and especially so the next thing we want to do is promote transparency, is to make sure that all the tax dollars are distributed again to public libraries, the zoo, and then the investment of your tax dollars. One of the things that the county treasurer is responsible for is investing that money. Right now, the Fifth Third Bank has about $600 million of the county treasurer's money, and that money can be invested to do linked deposits and residential and commercial development. If I could just give you one example, you all, right now in the city of Cincinnati, I don't know if you heard about it, the city of Cincinnati has been sued. They're in a suit because the city of Cincinnati took $151 million of tax abatement money and gave it to the majority community. African Americans only got $1 million of that money. So what do you say? What did they do? So what happened in the majority community in Cincinnati? They were able to fix up their homes. Like, say, for example, to do a repair on the home was $5,000 or $10,000 or $25,000 or $40,000, and they were able to get tax abatements for 10 and 15 years or whatever that amount was. African Americans was denied that. I think that's awful. And one of the things that I would like to do as county treasurer is to make money available to commercial lenders and create a commercial linked deposit program where African Americans and other diverse groups or whomever can go to a bank, get X number of dollars, the county treasurer, we guarantee that money and let people fix up their homes, and so they can get tax abatement. So I was thinking about Lincoln Heights the other day, that one of the things that if I'm elected, I would like to help Lincoln Heights, especially a model city, to find ways to help you all redo some homes there, old apartment buildings and say there's vacant property. We take that vacant property and find a way to redevelop it, put it back on the market, let it raise taxes, and it can become a good home for someone or a good commercial development. So I'm open to all of that, and all of that is a part of my Winburn 7-point plan for the county treasurer's office. And then, of course, the county treasurer's office is responsible for impartial tax appeal process. So if your taxes are too high, you would come to our office there. We would have a member of the county commission, the auditor, and the county treasurer is responsible for having an impartial tax appeal. One of the other things which y'all are pretty much probably already aware of is the Hamilton County Land Bank or Reutilization Corporation. I want to make sure that more African Americans participate in that. I went to one of the meetings and I was surprised. 30 people were there. I only saw a couple African Americans even involved in the land bank. So why not? I don't know if the land bank has contacted Lincoln Heights, but I'd like to see that land bank and the Port Authority in Lincoln Heights helping to develop our community. Now, some people think I got a conflict of interest because I grew up in Lincoln Heights. No, I believe Lincoln Heights have been denied their fair share of equity and economic development. And I would like to see this wonderful community become a model, a turnaround community, a turnaround city, a village, or whatever you want to call it. And then number 6, my job is Economic Development Roundtable. Of course, that will be involved in working with the Port Authority to find ways on, for example, how do we help Lincoln Heights grow their tax base? How do we help Lincoln Heights redevelop their properties and vacant land? And I was glad to see my sister Nettie, and I forgot to tell you all, Nettie is my sister. Do you all know Nettie Matthews out there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Nettie is my sister, and I just she does grass and all that, and I think that's wonderful. And again, that's just an overview of what we have. But if you want to go, one of the things somebody said, well, what qualifies you to be county treasurer? Well, I don't know if you all know, I served on Cincinnati City Council myself, and I served for 16 years. And believe it or not, you all, it was a Democratic mayor and a Democratic council that nominated me and appointed me as the budget chair. So I ran the Cincinnati City budget, you all, for 4 years, and my Democratic council elected me to do that. And as a result of that, we were able to balance the city budget. They had like $90 million or more dollars in debt. So when I left city council and I turned out, we left them with a structurally balanced budget, a structurally balanced pension system that was on its way to bankruptcy. So as a result of my leadership and my colleagues, we were able to turn that around. Also, they were going to lay off hundreds of firefighters. We went through a real major budget problem. They were going to lay off firefighters and police officers. So under our leadership, we didn't lay off not one police officer or firefighter. And in conclusion, I don't know if y'all heard about my so-called famous amnesty program where we forgave everybody half of their taxes for real estate, emergency medical expenses, and if they were behind on their taxes, we gave them time to catch up. That was one of my initiatives that 5,000 citizens, actually almost 80% African Americans benefited from it. And we raised over $2 million and put that back in the budget. So one of the major things, I got endorsed by labor, you all, as a Frederick Douglass Republican. I got endorsed by labor, the AFL-CIO Postal Service Union. And when I was on council, it served under Mark Mallory as his chairman of job growth chair. We saved 2,000 postal jobs, and hundreds of African Americans could have lost their jobs. And most recently, I opened up a charter school in our church. We have 120 kids, 90% of them African Americans, and a wonderful staff. And we have child care center on our campus. And I'm qualified because I've got the experience. I've been proven, trusted, tested, and I know I can't ask all of you all to vote for me, but I would sure try to do it if I could. So, and I enjoy growing up again in Lincoln Heights. And Madam, your mother used to have a wonderful store there. Do you remember that? She had a store right there in Lincoln Heights that we used to go there and buy all of our stuff. So I really love Lincoln Heights. It's a wonderful place, again, where I grew up with the Willingham Foster Home. So I like to stop now. I don't want to ramble, but if y'all have any questions to ask me, I will try to respond. Anyone got any questions for me?
Mayor Durance's hand is up, and so is Ms. Keys. I know
Sure.
you can't see everybody.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, I had
You're smiling,
mute. I'm
everybody.
sorry. Councilman Daniels.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Winburn, thank you for coming on. It was good seeing you over the weekend as well. I know it was a little cold outside, but it was a good turnout there at the Board of Elections. So,
yes.
But my question is two things. I was looking on your website for your 7-point plan. Didn't quite see that, but I did find the 5-point plan specifically on Hamilton County Land the Revitalization Corporation, and you talked a lot about how we can utilize those funds out of the Treasury's office for both land use, both commercial and residential. So my question is, let's say, for instance, and I'm not even going to put that you're not going to win, but let's say that you're no longer Hamilton County Treasurer. How do we ensure that Lincoln Heights has is either at the table or either has some type of negotiation leverage at that Hamilton County Treasurer's office? Because it seems like there's some resources there that Lincoln Heights can take advantage, that can leverage. But what other ways can we leverage that, even if we're not so fortunate to have a former Lincoln Heights alumni like yourself advocate for us?
Yeah, first of all, I really love what you just said. Hey, I hope you can't imagine not having me there, because you need me there more than you realize. But I will say this, is that what you could do is you could actually, whoever whether it's me or the invisible person that I'm running against, you could demand that you be at the table. But right now, out of 88 county treasurers, I would be the first county treasurer to ever create a county treasurers roundtable. So I would invite Lincoln Heights to be a part of that. I want you all right at the table with me and other neighborhoods whereby we can make those decisions. But you could ask the county commissioners, they're important, very important, to put a little pressure on whoever the next county treasurer is to create a county treasurer roundtable. Now, I will say this, and first of all, I really appreciate your comment. I've never in my entire life, and I hope thousands of people can hear this all over Hamilton County, I've never ran against a candidate that I've only seen one time, and a candidate that is invisible. And I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just saying, I like people to challenge me. I done raised almost $400,000, and I need for somebody to challenge me so I can challenge them back. And this particular person who's running against me, they believe they don't have to come to our community. They haven't been visible. And what happens, they want you to vote for them just because they're a Democrat and vote down ballot and make them your next county treasurer. You have never seen them. You don't know who they are. You know me. You may not like me, but you know me. And I've got a track record and demonstration of producing. So the answer to your question is that if I'm elected, Lincoln Heights will be at the table, because I think, as I look at Lincoln Heights and Laughlin, which I grew up in, and Woodlawn, played there in Woodlawn, many times the suburban groups, like these three communities, you're locked out of stuff. I want to be able to reach out to communities like Lincoln Heights and Laughlin and Forest Park and other areas and say, hey, we need to be involved and we need inclusion. When I looked at the land bank, council member, the Hamilton County Land Reutilization Corporation. And I walked in there, I only saw, believe it or not, I saw Commissioner Dumas and I Driehaus, and I looked around the table. It had at least be 40 people in there, not one African American involved that I saw on the round table. So I think by having me there for diversity and inclusion to make sure. And by the way, on my website, I think if you keep looking, council member, you will find the Winburn 7-point plan, and it has financial stewardship, promoting transparency, investment of your tax dollars, promoting impartial tax appeal process, Hamilton County Land Reutilization Corporation, and my economic development roundtable, and also financial integrity and ethics. I'm the best qualified, the best proven. Like I said, I'm out. I came out from Lincoln Heights, went on, and many of y'all know I graduated from Hughes, went to University of Cincinnati, got my ASBS Master's Education. Got my when I got back on council about several years ago, went to Harvard Business School, got my certificate in leadership development, went to Harvard University for a while, got certificates in urban education, and with my budget experience, 35 years of public experience. I worked for Democratic governors, Republican governors. I was in Dick Celeste's camp for, if some of you all knew me, I was with him for 8 years in his cabinet. He was a Democratic governor. He loved me and I loved him. And then I felt that we shouldn't put all of our eggs in one basket. So I'm a Republican, not so much because of ideology and philosophy, is that I just believe that we as African Americans shouldn't put all our eggs in one basket. You need some Frederick Douglass Republicans like Charlie Winburn. So much for
Mr.
that.
Winburn, you have another question, because I know the time is getting past us. Ms. Tanya Key has a question for you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And just cut me off because I love to do a lot of talking from time to time.
Thank you,
Okay,
Mayor.
Ms. Key.
Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me to have the floor. Thank you, Mr. Winburn, for being with us today. And I'll make it a statement, actually. So looking at the time, so we don't prolong the time. I appreciate a treasurer who can look at the tax dollars and put monies back into the hand of the taxpayers to help with their properties and their wealth accumulation as well. One thing I would like to say is one of your points that you brought up from your 7-point plan is allowing homeowners access to funds through grants or through the banks or what have you. One thing that kind of caught my attention was that having to go through banks to be able to access these funds is not, in my opinion, not always the best way for a community to use the funds for what's best within the community. I like to see more pass-throughs through, albeit through perhaps a nonprofit organization or even through the village itself, because the village itself knows what the village needs on the ground. Having to deal with a bank, they can't always see what's feasible for the village and what will actually bring the village up to a different level. I don't know if you're aware, but the village has nothing to do with me. I wasn't there, but have already embarked on initiatives that will allow homeowners to apply for funding through the village. And I know there's some things that's been worked out and there's some things that's being offered. And so I would like to see monies come back through the village and let the village actually be the conduit of how those funds are dispersed out through the residents in the community. That was just my statement there for the Treasury.
Do you mind if I respond? First of all, that is a brilliant, outstanding statement. That's why I want to have the economic development roundtable in order to study on how we could make that. Because, say for example, $600 to $800 million that we will have, that the county treasurer can invest according to state statutes. The state statute has all these guidelines on how and who can receive the residential or commercial money. That's why a linked deposit could be made, whereby, say, for example, a financial institution, we take all the strings off, and that financial institution, say, would loan that money, or however they would present that money to Lincoln Heights in a way without all of this bogged down red tape. So that's something that if I'm your next county treasurer, I would like for you, if your mayor and your council would nominate you to serve on my county treasurer's roundtable, and you can help us develop that in context with the state Ohio revised codes. And one other thing that I want to share with each and every one of you. I'm not for sure to what extent it will impact Lincoln Heights, but you all need to know this, that at the next tax, when the tax bill is due again, there are thousands of people that won't be able to pay their tax bill during this pandemic, during this situation, and people being laid off and not having a lot of money. One of the things that I want to do is to be able to work out a very long-term plan where people will not lose their homes, because there's going to be, I'm telling you, quite a few people that won't be able to pay their property tax. And we're talking about whites, blacks, all over the county. That's going to be an issue. At having me there as your county treasurer, it will be my job to make sure no one loses their home, and that everyone will have the opportunity to pay their bill without losing their home.
Okay. Is there any other questions? Ms. Charles-Jeter?
Hello, Charlie. How you doing?
Oh, how you doing, my dear friend? You know, your mother was a wonderful person, and you're the store that we used to buy candy from. And I want to tell you this, I never stole anything because your mother wouldn't allow us to steal anything. So I want you to know that.
And well, thank you for that, and for letting folks know that we did have a grocery store out here. Yes. I want to say that you and your sister both have that same passion and love for this community, and that you also found your way to the pantry. So you followed my directions that day that you knocked on my door. So,
right.
Okay, just want to say hi.
Well, and thank you. And I want to thank you for your leadership. Isn't it amazing how we all grew up together, not knowing that we would be city council persons one day? And it's just so phenomenal. And every now and then, you all would know this, I just drive around Lincoln Heights and think of the good old days, and I drive through 3 or 4 times a year, just because really Lincoln Heights was it was just a great place with the Tigers. And by the way, you all, believe it or not, when I was in the 10th grade, I was the basketball announcer, and we had some really top-notch basketball players.
Yes.
And Mr. Salters, I only had to be spanked by him one time, and he brought me in the office, and he had the holes in his paddle, and he only hit me several times, and I've been a good boy ever since.
That's all it took, Charlie, was one time. Thank you.
That's right. That is definitely right. So any other questions, you wonderful people? I just really want to thank you for you all's leadership, and for over the years, from the days of Penn Ziegler. I don't know if you all know, I didn't know it myself. I was so eager to work in politics. I don't know if you all knew that Penn Ziegler was a Republican. Did you all know that? You had a Republican mayor. Right. Yes. Okay.
Well,
Mayor,
thank you, Mr. Winburn.
What you say?
Is that Ms. Mitchell?
Yeah, I just wanted, for those who didn't know, that Mr. Winburn is a recipient of the Lincoln Heights Legacy Award. So we're very proud of what you've done, Mr. Winburn.
Right.
Representing the village, outside the village. Thank you.
And I was looking for that award because I wanted to campaign using that award on my radio ad. So on the next train, I guess I could use that award. And I want to thank you, former city manager, and the great work you have done, Council Member Mitchell, just for we used to call you Mint. Do they still call you that?
Only you, Mr. Winburn.
Oh, okay. Well, we really appreciate your leadership. And Mayor Mumphrey, I was with her over at Corinthian Baptist Church not long ago, and just really appreciate. Is there any final questions you have for me? And I want to thank you all for just letting me talk so long. I just really appreciate listening to your council meetings and all the wonderful things that you're doing.
Thank you.
Only thing I just wanted to mention that when you mentioned about the Port Authority, just to let you know that they are building a couple of houses out here in the Village of Lincoln Heights. So we have began the partnership with them and others to move the village forward. But I want to thank you. Anybody else have anything for them?
You could find Charles Winburn's plan in the Cincinnati Herald. If you open it up, it's there every week.
Oh yeah, that's some of the stuff. And by the way, it was in the Cincinnati Enquirer. They ran it about a couple months ago, and I could get it to everyone if you need it. So I really again appreciate the opportunity of you all just giving me so much time tonight.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming. And
Thank you.
Thank you all. You all have been gracious, and I pray that you consider voting for me if you can. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you then.
Okay.
Thanks a billion, you all.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. We're going to go ahead and move on to old business. It's regarding the 2021 budget for fire and police. And that leaves Ms. Pope.
Mayor, do we have a copy of that?
What you have is a copy. It was given to us some time ago, so we didn't bring it back.
But I thought we were going to go over the service budget tonight. That's what we said in finance. So it's been moved to the fire and.
I was given for fire and police, which Ms. Pope was going to discuss. That's what we were given tonight.
Okay, so can we have that shared so that we can see it on?
Ms. Pope, I'm waiting for her to come on. Her phone is muted.
Is that a separate document? Because it's not in our appropriation review. So I didn't get a, okay, so if she has it, she can share it because I don't have a copy.
Take your mute off, Ms. Pope.
I don't have a copy of it. I'm at home. Like Ms. Charles-Jeter said, that was given to you a while ago. So the fire department budget is just, you already passed the resolution for that. It's going to remain the same. The cost for the fire contract.
And what does that cost? Is that what the one?
It was
$264,000.
Yes. The resolution has already been passed for that contract amount. And as far as the sheriff's department contract, this year is $801,000 or $810,000, and so generally it's a 5% increase over that. And but we were going to discuss see if we can get that amount lowered by reducing the amount of service that we receive.
And so how are we doing?
Wait a minute, Ms. Mitchell.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're not the only one to get questions.
Yeah. Okay, so that's Vice Mayor.
Okay. I forgot what I had to say. Come back to me.
Okay, we're talking about.
I do remember. So every year, Ms. Pope, it goes up 5%. And you're asking us to reduce the service that they provide to us, plus give them more money? I'm not sure what you're asking.
That's what I'm asking. What I'm saying is we need to negotiate the amount that we pay them annually by some of the services. Right now, we pay for one 12-hour, 24-hour person, and it turns out to be about 5 salaries that we pay for. So we were going to ask to reduce that by a 12-hour person, so we can get that amount that we pay them lowered.
Yes, go ahead, Vice Mayor.
So we want them to give us less service so that we can pay them less money. Because to me, I think that they should do more for what we're paying them. We trying to get a discount, and they're going, that.
We're not trying to get a discount. We're telling them that we can't afford their contract, and that they're at that amount, 800. Let's say next year it turns out that it's 850,000, 860,000. That's becoming half of our revenue. We can't afford their service, so we're going to have to talk about reducing the amount that we pay them, which is going to come with a decrease in the amount of people that we're paying for. But we have to keep in mind they also were awarded that grant, which would give us 10 additional police officers out in the village of Lincoln Heights.
Okay. You want me to move on to Ms. Mitchell?
Yes. So, Ms. Pope, so do you have what those points are for the reduction in the cost? Do you have a proposal that's being presented? We haven't seen that. I know that it was talked about, and I know that there was a letter that was sent, but there had been no. We haven't received anything else. So you're saying that, and we're getting close to the end. So are you and the mayor planning on talking with, I don't know, Mr. Rafferty or Lieutenant Bowen? How are we going to do it?
Their contract doesn't expire until next year, 12/31/21. But to start discussing it within this budget cycle, so hopefully we can get that amount reduced so we don't have to pay that amount. And that's going to be part of your budget booklets that you're going to receive.
So are we asking for a reduction this year, or are we just starting to talk about it for the contract that ends next year for 2022?
We're going to ask for the reduction for next year for the remaining amount that we are in contract for. We're going to ask them to reduce their contracted amount for next budget cycle.
So we're looking, so the 850 plus the cars for this year.
The cars have to be purchased because we, in our contract, we are to have available for their service 4 vehicles. We only have 3. And the third one is old. So you have the information for that.
I have a question. Ms. Childs Jeter's probably before me though.
Mayor. Ms. Jeter had her hand up.
I'll go ahead and get started, Mayor. I see you trying to talk to Donna. The 2 cars that you're talking about are about $65,000. Can they be purchased out of this year's money because the CARES Act is paying for part of the police salary for this year?
Yes.
Okay, so that should not be included in your 2021 budget. It can be, if council decides that's what they want to do, they can go ahead and take care of that. So how much of the CARES money paid for the salary so we can understand what's going on here?
Board of County Commissioners CARES Act is gonna pay for 169,000.
So if 100,000, still leave us with $100,000 behind from the so we can afford those two cars. Oh, we can get those two cars. I don't know about afford, but we can actually get those two cars. The recommendation from Lieutenant Boyne was for the V6, and would have been fitted, comes to 32,193.45. So if you do two of those, then that will be done. And it will not be included in the 2021 budget. So that part would be done. That's all.
Okay. Yes, Vice Mayor.
My question is, in the contract, it says that we have to provide 4 cars, correct?
Yes.
When they total
Yes,
a
ma'am.
car, we get the insurance money, and do we put that to the side for a new car? Because didn't they total a couple of cars? What do we do with that money?
We have a total car from this year, and it was, the amount we received for that car was $9,000.
$9,000 from a $80,000 car?
No, that wasn't an $80,000 car. That was, it was not 25.
Was it one of the new cars that we just bought last year?
It was one of the older ones.
Do they take the cars home or do they park them?
They park them.
We know that for sure.
Yes, you know that for sure. They drive their own personal cars in.
Okay. I see a lot of sheriff
Ms.
cars.
Smith.
No.
Okay. Ms. Mitchell.
All right. So the insurance, the $9,000 insurance was received this year or last year?
This year.
This year. So to do the simple math that Ms. Charles Jeter did, so that means that we really only have to use $56,000, correct? Because we have 9 in the general fund already.
55, 55, 54, 56, 50, yeah, somewhere in there. 9,000 minus the $9,000
Yes, ma'am.
that can go against that. Okay, can be applied. Okay.
I mean, so we just, again, okay. Just the sooner that we can get that and look at it on paper.
What? Look at what?
So that we can see how we're doing it and where it's coming from, just so that we can see it. I mean, we're talking numbers right now, but a document would be helpful.
I sent you the quotes for the vehicles.
I understand that, Miss Pope. I guess what I'm actually saying is that so we can see it in the budget actually, you know, where it talks about capital outlay and just the information, basic, all on one sheet, so that we don't have the separate sheets of paper. I know we have a copy of what the car is and all of that, but it would be helpful to have it all on one sheet.
Vice Mayor.
This is my last question. How many cars have been totaled out since or wrecked or tore up or whatever?
3 that I know of. Since I've been here in 16.
So 3 cars been tore up in 4 years. Interesting. In this little small village.
Yeah.
Okay. I got a couple of hands up. Councilman Daniels.
Yes, real quick on that, just because I just want to be clear. Ms. Pope, we're assigned two people. I know their shifts are, but 2 physical people per shift, correct?
Yeah.
So why is there a need to have 4 cars on site if they're only going to have 2 people on duty at a time? Just curious.
So the 24 person, the 124, that's 2 people per shift. So that's 2 cars. And the 112-hour is actually 2 people. And so it's an average of maybe 3 at one time doing a shift.
Okay. Now, well, hold on, Ms. Mitchell, Ms. Giles Peters next.
And then you also have the lieutenant that's here.
Ms. Jeter?
Okay, let's talk about those cars that were wrecked. They were not new cars. Some of them were on their last leg when I came in. So, and then going up and down these streets with all these potholes and stuff in it will destroy anybody's car. So the need is there for the 2 additional cars. And if the CARES Act took care of some of the salaries from the sheriff department, then we can use those funds for this year. The opportunity is here for this year.
Okay. All right, Ms. Mitchell, you're the last question, then we're gonna move on. Go ahead.
Okay, so I know that we're not making a decision tonight, but are we going to put this into the safety committee? Because the pricing is all over the place, either all-wheel drive or V6, V8. So we're not really clear on how much it's going to cost. I mean, if we take 2 vehicles at the most, that actually comes out to be $76,000. So are we going to look at this at the safety committee?
Well,
because we're kind of off schedule.
But now, if we had not talked so much in the finance meeting the other night, we might could have gotten to this. But he recommended this, and I believe we did get this paperwork before then. We've had nothing new, Ms. Mitchell, and the actual cost that he recommended, it says 32,193.45. If you look at the last page, that simple math you was talking about.
Well, which one are you talking? Because the paper that I'm looking at, I guess maybe I printed off something different. But I'm just asking so we don't belabor it. We didn't discuss it.
Hold on. Y'all overlapping, and Randolph has got to take the minutes.
It was that
one person at a time, please.
So I didn't attend the safety committee meeting, so that's when it was discussed. The police contracts.
It was not discussed there. We were supposed to bring it on over to finance so we could discuss it. It didn't happen. Okay, so we put it on the agenda for the day because you can't keep moving this. If you do, then you move it on past when we have to vote on this. So on the second page of 3 of 3, it says 3 of 3. The next to the last paragraph, it says, I would suggest going with the 2021 Dodge Charger V6 AWD. So, and he attached a price to it with it being built out. The built out price was $3,730.45. So that's his recommendation for the 2 cars. For the 1, and multiply that by 2, and then minus your $9,000, you get $55,386.90 for this year, not for 2021.
Okay, so if I could get a copy of that.
Ms. Mitchell, can y'all get her the information? Because we got to move on. We'll be talking about these vehicles 10, 15 more minutes. So we got to move on. Is there anything else we needed to talk about on the agenda regarding the fire?
Mayor, I'm sorry.
Yes.
This is
Yes,
October. October and November will be the next meeting. We'll run out of time.
Okay. Are you planning on putting anything on the agenda? Your meeting won't be till after the 3rd week in November.
Right. Then when do you vote on this, if you want it to happen or not? We're running out of time, but okay.
Don't we vote on it in December, the whole budget, or?
We have
bring it back to the committee, to the council.
We're not putting it in 2021 budget. You're doing it for this year.
And we already have the money, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. We got to do it because the contract says 4 cars.
Oh, I'm not questioning that at all. I'm just saying, again,
This
I
is
guess
not,
paperwork. Okay,
this is not part of your
Okay.
2021.
I understand
budget.
that. I understand that, but we still,
You understand it now?
there are some, no, there's some adjustments that we
No,
have
you
to
didn't.
make, and I'm just saying that
Okay, so,
didn't know that was carried over to the finance committee, but
Mayor, Mayor,
Ms. Pope, go ahead. Ms. Mitchell, Ms. Pope.
this information,
Okay.
we received it back in September. I forwarded it to all the council members, so you had it back in September.
I know I had it, Ms. Pope. I'm just saying I didn't know we were supposed to discuss it in
Hold
the
on, Ms. Mitchell. Ms. Mitchell, let her finish, because Ms. Randolph is taking minutes and y'all overlap.
Had something else on the agenda, so we ended up not discussing it then. And then the finance, like she said, was so long, we didn't discuss it there. So these are two vehicles that we need to at least tell them that we are going to purchase them this year. We need to, have that resolution. The slip that you have are just options. So council has to decide on which vehicle they want to purchase. And you can just decide on that by the cost or however you want to decide on it. And we have $9,000 towards the total cost that you can subtract out. And between Board of County Commissioners and the Hamilton County CARES Act, we will have way more than enough to purchase those vehicles, or even do a plan if you want to do a lease option to buy, however you want to do it.
Okay. All right, so y'all marinate on that. Ms. Pope, I think we'll see what we can do about getting something on the next upcoming meeting, but we're not gonna be able to hash it out at this meeting. So we're gonna move on to new business. New business resolution number 2020 R31, resolution appointing Tanya Key to fill a vacant council seat. Any questions, council? Nothing. Okay. With that being said, Ms. Tanya Key,
Yes,
is
ma'am,
there
Mayor.
anything you would like to say? Is there anything you would like to say?
I just appreciate the opportunity to serve the community.
Okay, thank you very much. Vice Mayor shook her head yes. We're glad that you're able to hopefully everybody will vote and you'll be returning back this afternoon. Next is miscellaneous business. Yes, Mr. Daniel?
Yes, ma'am. I just want to make sure that we continue to bring to the forefront. I don't think we talked about it. I didn't see it in the agenda. The snow trucks for the winter. I know it's been brought up, I think, for the last 3 meetings. And I know once we start talking about vehicles, that's another vehicle that popped into my mind. So do we have an update on the plan of what we're doing about the snow truck that we need for this year?
Madam Mayor, I also
Yes, ma'am.
I also sent you guys the information for the vehicle, the last priced vehicle, the information that you received from Mr. Willis and Mr. Dukes. So you have that on, I guess now it's just deciding on whether we're going to purchase it. And that's been going on for the last few meetings.
Okay, so we're gonna need to consider voting on that next council meeting. Ms. Childs Jeter?
Madam Mayor, to Donna, is this coming out this year's money?
This will actually be the first payment will be out of this year if there's a down payment required.
But we need to include it in the 2021 budget, right?
Yes. Definitely.
Okay. So
now that vehicle is ready now, so I don't know when we're going to decide to. Council's going to decide to get it, or before it leaves the station.
Before somebody else gets it.
Yes. Thank you.
There you go.
So Ms. Pope, you mentioned if it's a down payment, have they showed how much a down payment is for this particular vehicle?
We did have a budget. We had an amount in this year's budget for a down payment for snowmobile for the service department, and that was $10,000.
Okay. All right.
I have a
It
question.
looks like yes, Ms. Mitchell.
So is it $10,000 regardless of the payment plan that we choose?
No, that's the amount that we appropriated. That might not even be the amount of the down payment for this vehicle. It may only be $5,000. It might be a rearage where we don't have to pay it until next year. But I think this was the conversation that you guys already had with Mr. Dukes. I'm just trying to bring it back up.
I would like to hear from Mr. Willis. I know he had mentioned about the payments and how they were going to be split up. Mr. Willis, did you want to elaborate on the truck?
Can you hear me? All right, let me turn it. It would have been it was a 5-year plan, and then that's what we did. And the 5-year plan was around $19,504 or something like that. Because we wanted to obviously finance it, stretch it for 5 years. And that price can Ford now we're going with Ford municipal quotes. They change their rate. Like it changes every week as far as the interest. So the interest can be like 3% this week, then it can jump up to 7% the next week. So that's the ball game we playing because it's real tricky. Well, we not playing, but I don't want to give you one number and then it's another number the next week. So what you got on that paper it ain't changed. I'm just saying just in case.
Mr. Willis,
all right.
Be cautious that it's getting cold. So if it happens, I'm not trying to like make y'all have a sense of urgency, but it's getting cold. That price of that truck is gonna go up probably $10,000 to $15,000 just because it's getting cold and somebody might need a snow vehicle, and obviously it's like the same thing if you're dealing with salt or something, it'll jump up in that season.
All right, looks like we're going to need to be discussing this or deciding on getting a legislation now for that for the next council meeting in November, and then we'll go from there on what council wants to do. Okay. Yes, Mr. Daniels.
I'm sorry, man. I just want to make sure I was clear on the process. So we should be looking for some type of resolution within the next 2 weeks with some details in it so that we can be ready to vote on it next council meeting, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay. There's nothing further. Is there a motion on the floor for adjournment?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All right. We're gonna keep going.
Yes, please.
All right. The Village of Lincoln Heights regular council meeting is now in session. Today's date is Monday, October the 26th. Time is 8:03. Roll call, Ms. Randolph.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber. Councilwoman Phyllis Baber.
Present.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter.
Present.
Councilman Durant Daniels.
Present.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell.
Present.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson.
Present.
Mayor Ruby Kenzie Mumfree.
Present.
We have 6 who are present. We do have a quorum.
Dear gracious and eternal Father, we want to thank you for bringing us in this place. Lord, I ask you to touch each and one of our council members, Lord. Lord, we ask you to touch the ones that have been able to attend our meetings. Bless them in a mighty way. Lord, we ask you to touch us in a way that we can know how to agree to disagree. Lord, we ask you to watch over our residents as they go through this COVID epidemic. And at this time, it's stemming upward, Lord. So we ask you, Lord, to touch each and every one of our residents, our council members. And Lord, we ask you to bless the United States. Lord, our country is in turmoil right now, Lord, but we know that you are the root of all that we have. And all these blessings I ask in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion in order for acceptance?
I move to accept the agenda.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion in order for filing of the journal for committee the whole meeting minutes for October 13th and regular council meeting minutes of October 13th with the necessary corrections.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any nays? Ayes have it. Announcement. Councilman Daniels.
November 7th, we have a volunteer cleanup day right along Memorial Field. We'll be just kind of doing something. We're working with GE and our service department, and so we'll also, a couple volunteers. Everybody will be socially distant. I believe Brother Jamal will have 5 stations that he's coordinated with volunteers from GE to make sure we continue to help keep our village beautiful. So that would be November the 7th from 10 a.m. to 1. I believe we got set up at 9:30. I think I got that all right.
Okay.
Question.
Vice Mayor.
Did you say on Memorial Field?
It'll be along the fencing of Memorial Field, and then there'll be some work inside of it. And then if you have a question on just access, we have had that conversation already. So that's been dealt with, and we're good to go. And Ms.
Do we
Pope
have anything in writing, Mr. Daniels, from anybody that we need?
No, not in writing, but it was a call with Ms. Pope was on it, Mr. Willis was on it, and also members from GE. But I'm sure that, but I'm saying I understand your concern, Vice Mayor, and I can talk with them, and I'm sure we can kind of get something to make it finalized. But we have spoken with him, and that was his biggest thing, was communication.
Thank you. I would just feel more comfortable if we had something in writing to
ma'am.
cover our behind. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Ms. Faber.
Didn't Habitat just clean that area? Did they actually get on the field and pretty much do just what Mr. Daniels just said?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. This was a recommendation from Mr. Willis. He just thought it could be, it was a big project that could use, that's going to take a couple phases to get done. So the project with Habitat with Humanity in Mr. Willis' eyes is kind of like a phase 1, and we're going to have to continue to keep working up that area. I think the best way that he put it was it kind of took years for it to kind of get in the condition that it is. So it would take more than just one weekend to kind of get it to where he wants it. So, but agreed, Ms. Bader, we did just work on it. I think we're just gonna have to keep chipping at it until we get it the way we want it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Daniels. Okay. Next announcement, Ms. Faber, any announcement for you?
Only that Miss Jeannie has arranged for us to do on, I think it's November the 10th, which is a Tuesday, the Tuesday after election, around 6:30. We're gonna do something with the community where we get them together for the Lincoln Heights Day, the 75th, to see what they like to see happen.
Okay. All right. Okie dokie. 6:30? Okay. All right. That's the Rock the Block.
Respect my block.
I said respect my block. It's the
Habitat.
Respect my block. Thank you. Thank you. Would you like to make sure we do a robocall for that?
I plan on doing one, Mayor.
Okay. Thank you, Vice. All right. Mr. Daniels, I just want to go back to him real quick about, did he need a robocall done regarding that cleanup day, asking for volunteers within the village?
Yes, ma'am. That'd be helpful for a robocall for that. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Childs Jeter, any announcement?
Well, I have something that I want to say to Mr. Daniels. Before you enter that property, talk to the sheriff, because the owner and the sheriff have some kind of agreement there. So that's it for that.
Okay, yeah. Now I'll do it. That's Ms. Pope. I want to just ask your
whoever. I just want to let you know that there's some type of agreement between the two of them. Just communication, and written communication is very, very important.
No, totally agreed. Totally agreed. And with that, I want Ms. Pope, if you don't mind, and I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, if I'm out of order, but Ms. Pope, because you were on the meeting, do you think if I should send it, or if you should send it, just kind of a group email, just kind of, getting everybody on the same page? I can send it if need be, but just kind of what you, oh, you're over here. You got two of them. Whichever one you feel is best, just to make sure everybody, the lines of communication are on the same page.
Yeah, you can go ahead and send it.
Okay.
Originally, you and Mr. Dukes and Jamal was on that conversation, so.
Okay, I'll get that out, and I'll put everybody on it, so everybody's on the same page. So.
Okay.
And my announcement is vote, 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 vote. November 3rd is the last day for you to have an opportunity. So drag your family members, friends, your foes out to vote. The Board of Elections open every day for you. There is even Saturday and Sunday coming up that you can go vote. So thank you. That's it.
Okay. Vice Mayor, any announcement?
No, I have no announcements. Thank you.
I thought you had your hand up too.
I don't think I have anything to say.
What's it about respect my block?
Phyllis gave that announcement.
Okay. All right. All righty. Miss Mitchell, any announcement for you?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Miss Mitchell, so the pantries are finished for the season?
We're not sure. We do plan, if we do one, it will be November 7th. I'll let you know, and we can put out a robocall on it. It's still kind of up in the air, but we kind of plan to do one on November 7th if it happens.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't have any announcements. Okay, so we're going to move on to our speaker, the Honorable Fanon Rucker, candidate for Hamilton County Prosecuting Attorney. Thank you before you start, Mr. Rucker, for being patiently waiting. We're a little bit behind, but thank you, and you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Mayor and Council. It's so good to be back here with you all. I'm back home. It feels good to be back home.
Yay!
Yes, indeed. In 2004, when I first stepped out to run for prosecutor, I was the law director for a little village off of 75. And so the strong base of support and love, encouragement, and really training that I got to be running today to be the lawyer for the entire county was cut right there in the village, where when I first came here from Gary, it was the most comfortable place for me when I settled here in Cincinnati. So I appreciate the history. I appreciate the passion. I appreciate the resolve of those who are in leadership in the village, because you know how difficult it is to be in leadership and you're plugging away at it because it means something to you. And so I truly do hold that up as a beacon, and I appreciate your support and encouragement. I'm not going to talk too long, just to tell you that I am so excited. Folks, when we get close to election time, they start just saying stuff, and oh yeah, and they get excited. We're gonna win, and they start waving flags and stuff. Let me tell you, I am truly, legitimately excited and encouraged. Forget the polls. I mean, the polls say I'm up, which is why he's running these hit ads and stuff like that. Forget the polls. Forget the fact that I've been out at the Board of Elections almost every single day, and there are lines and record-breaking numbers every single day. When I say, look, we had 3,000 people that voted on the first day of early voting. The previous record was 900. 900 on the first day was the previous record. And every day since then, there have been between 2,000 and 3,000 people down there voting in person. To say nothing of the number of people who are dropping off their ballots in person. And they're waving these blue sample ballots in their hand. 80% of them are coming over and asking us for the sample ballot that has all the Democrats listed on it. So forget the excitement about that. Forget the excitement about what the polls say. Forget the excitement about what the energy that's out there. I'm excited because on January 3rd, we truly can and will have a more responsive system.
Yes. That
actually reflects what the people been running to the streets and asking for, really for generations, but most certainly in the past few months. We actually will be able to form that system that says that we recognize people shouldn't be sitting in prison innocent of the charges they've been convicted of, and we're going to do something about it. We seriously will have a system that says we recognize that people should not be sitting in jail simply because they can't afford not to be there. We're going to have a system, and I can tell you about this specifically in the prosecutor's office, that's going to use asset forfeiture funds for the betterment and for the support and for the empowering of the communities where that money came out of. This is not hard stuff. It seems real logical to me. But there's a difference between intentional leadership and passive leadership. What we got right now is passive leadership that recognizes the inequities and says, well, it is what it is. I'm talking about continuing in active and engaged leadership that says, yeah, we got these inequities, and so now we're going to do something about them. That's why I'm excited. And that's why truly I ask everybody not just to get excited and say, yeah, I'm going to vote for him, but find 5 or 10 people in your circle and make sure that they also go and exercise their right. I get that people historically, particularly our people, are disenchanted and kind of not excited or interested in voting. I understand why. History tells us that votes sometimes get sold, and we get sold dreams that are never realized. That folks come to our churches and to our communities and make all these promises that they can't keep or really don't have the intention on keeping. And so after a while, folks say, well, what's the point? We're going to get the same thing. So we have to truly get people to vote so that on January 3rd, they can see and actually feel that there is a difference when these new folks, and particularly I'm one of them, gets into a position and creates some initiatives and programs that show that it makes a difference who's in these positions. So that's me. Born and raised Gary, Indiana, 2nd generation judge, prosecutor, judge for a long time, community engager, and I'm so blessed and happy to be with you all this evening. And I appreciate your support, appreciate all the love that I've always received and gotten there in Lincoln Heights. And just know that no matter what position I'm in, I'm still with you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, any questions?
Preaching, preaching.
Don't do that to me.
Judge Rucker, just want to thank you for your passion. She I'm sorry, Miss Linda. She called. I give my time to Miss Linda Childs Jeter. She had her hand up. I'll go after Miss Linda.
I see you learn quickly.
I'm gonna start running over everybody like they do me. For non-Rucker, for We the People. Thanks for coming out tonight.
It's my pleasure.
Oh, okay. Councilman Daniels again.
Yes,
Sorry,
ma'am.
I didn't do the call. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. So Judge, she said, thank you for coming. In your due diligence, saw you in the summertime with us, and obviously the issue with the with the shooting range, and just having you there, says a lot, and where your heart is for the community. So actions speak more than words, as you just said. So I just want to thank you on that. Two quick questions. You already hit on one. The first one, just you kind of touched on the asset forfeiture dollars, and just just essentially, and if you can't get too much into details, I understand, but do you have a kind of a set plan on how some of those dollars can be disseminated better, to communities like Lincoln Heights? And then my second question is, as a judge, and I asked this also to Judge Yates, who came on last week. Judge records are not public record. If I wanted to figure out each individual case, it's a case-by-case basis. So I asked all judges, how do you feel about pretty much just an open, almost just database, a public record database of judges' records to make public, so that way we can hold some of these judges a little bit more accountable? Because a lot of them are just, I want to say, stealing our votes by saying they're Democrats or Republican, and they're not really ruling on behalf of our community. So sorry, those are two long-winded questions. And once again, I'm gonna give the floor back over to you. And once again, just want to thank you for your work you do in communities like Lincoln Heights.
Well, thank you, Councilman. And let me say a couple of things. First of all, my firm belief is that there's a true difference between a public servant and a public official. I mentor a lot of people who run for office and who are in office. And what I tell them, the only folks that I support and mentor are those who are public servants, which means they're there before they come asking for our votes. They actually are engaged in the community and have a presence before they come asking for a broader platform to impact more people's lives. And public servants are folks who are there before, and even if they're not successful, they're there anyway. And while they're in their official seats, they're engaged in the community. I consider myself a public servant, not a public official. I'm definitely not a politician. So when you say while I was there, that has nothing to do with me running for office. I'm there because I'm there, and I was there and will be continuously in the community even after I'm the prosecutor on the other side. So I appreciate that. Second of all, with regard to judges' records and things, it's interesting. What we do is public as judges. I mean, it's public because it's open and it's public tax dollars. The interesting fact is that they don't keep the demographic records about who's sentenced, what they look like, how long their sentences are. And I suspect that the reason they don't keep those records is because of the truthful and factual nature of what it will confirm for many of our opinions and beliefs about the system. They used to do it for juvenile court. They stopped doing it about 4 or 5 years ago when a couple of reports came out showing that about 80 to 90% of the young folks who were going through juvenile court were African Americans. And there was a lot of criticism about the information, the truthful information that was being released. So a couple of years ago, as a judge, I helped start a court watch program with MARC, the Metropolitan Area Religious Coalition of Cincinnati, League of Women Voters, and the Urban League. And we trained members of those organizations to sit in our courtrooms and to watch how the judges were ruling, how they were treating folks, and how they were deciding their cases. Because if the agency ain't gonna keep the records, the citizens can. And so we trained a court watch group while I was on the bench, and they're still doing it. In fact, I got their first report a couple of weeks ago that they're gonna release to the public on the judges that they actually watched. So I absolutely 100% support putting that information out publicly and making sure that the clerk's office or the judges in common pleas actually keep those statistics so that they can be published, whoever that may, to whoever's detriment that may be. And so I will be, as the prosecutor, advocating for that. And if we vote down the ticket, the majority of those judges who are running, who are under Democratic endorsed judges, support doing just that. And it's by a rule by the majority of the common pleas judges that can actually be a court rule that those documents are kept and are published to the community. So, you know, we get in 9 out of those 7 of those judges that are running on common pleas, and not only will they individually do it, but they'll collectively pass a rule that allows that to happen. And as prosecutor, again, I'll advocate that. So that's that question. With regard to the asset forfeiture funds, what you all may understand is that when someone is convicted of a criminal offense, the assets, either the cash or the property that's involved in the case, either that was the fruit of the criminal activity or it was used during the commission of the criminal offense, can be seized legally by court motion. It has to be $15,000 or less, and it has to be a guilty verdict. If it's more than $15,000, it can just be by court motion and arguing that there's a preponderance of the evidence that it was used in criminal activity. But that money then is seized and put into a pot, a very large pot. About $1 million on average a year goes in this pot. And the prosecutor it's basically a slush fund for the prosecutor. They can use it, and it's supposed to be used to lower crime, but it's a loose requirement. So our prosecutor has used that money over the years to give donations to his alma mater, like $3,800 to LaSalle's lacrosse team, to St. X's lacrosse team. He's bought briefcases and leather couches. You know, I did a public records request. Actually, Cecil Thomas gave me the records on it. He used some of that money to prosecute Tracy Hunter, Judge Tracy Hunter. Now, the county spent a bunch of money to prosecute her as well, but Judge Dieters used $348,000 of the asset forfeiture funds to prosecute Judge Hunter, in addition to the $1 million or so that the county used to prosecute her. Nonviolent offense for what was a professional issue that the prosecutor's office had with this judge. Now, interestingly, 2 years later, $148,000 was used to prosecute Ray Tensing for murder. $200,000 less out of the prosecutor's asset forfeiture funds to prosecute this high-profile murder case over a case against a sitting judge because of what they felt like was professional improprieties that resulted in the conviction of one of those charges. That's not okay. Now, I issued a press release about it last week, so this is not secret information, nor is it nothing that's not public. So I've been the president of what's called the Season Good Government Foundation for the past 3 years. I actually stepped down in May. I've been on the board for about 13 years. It's a grant-making foundation where we take grant proposals from individuals and organizations on proposals of initiatives and programs to help make government more transparent and to encourage citizen participation in the government. So what I'm going to do is use that procedure that we use as that grant-making body to take grants from community and individuals requesting funds from the asset forfeiture fund. And we'll do it on a quarterly or every other month basis. And we'll put out public requests and say, hey, if you have a program or initiative that's going to reduce crime, that's going to support victims, or that's going to empower communities, you tell me how much you need, who your group is, and what are the measurables that will show that that money is being used for those particular things, so we can come back in 6 months or a year and show this is what happened with that money. And look, the reality is 70% of that money comes from about 10 communities. So it seems logical to me that by target, 70% of that money ought to go back to those 10 communities. Yeah. So if there was a drug bust in Lincoln Heights that resulted in the forfeiture of $125,000, then damn it, the $125,000 ought to go back to those communities it came from and not to the communities that don't need it. It had nothing to do with where the money came from. That seems logical to me, but whether it's logical or not, that's going to be the procedure that the prosecutor's office will use in order to dole out the funds from the asset forfeiture funds. Let's not continue to emaciate and devastate our communities that are already struggling. Let's put that money back to actually build them up and to support those communities as needed. So that's the asset forfeiture fund proposal that I'm going to actually use.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay. All right. I thought I saw someone else's hand up. Was it Ms. Key or was it Vice Mayor? Okay. All right. Ms. Mitchell?
Mayor had a comment. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Are you, wanted to say, thank you, Judge Rucker, for joining us tonight. And I just want to say on record that you are one of the people who come to our community more than just during election time. You have been a staple in our community. You come out and support for as long as I've been in public office and as long as I've been a volunteer. And we appreciate you. We appreciate the work that you've done. And we appreciate what you're going to do with our legal system because it does need a true overhaul. And so we appreciate your vision. Look forward to seeing you sworn in into your new position.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Rucker. We appreciate you coming out. You have given us some education today, so we want to thank you. And also, you have educated our residents that are watching. So thank you and good luck, and we'll see you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you all. And I can't wait to see you all in person without all this computer stuff.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. Take care for now.
Yes.
You too. Thanks a lot.
Care. Bye-bye. Okay. Well, looks like our second speaker was going to be Mr. Al Frook from Tip Top Wings, but he was unable. I don't know what happened with him, but we're going to move on. I don't have anything from hearing from the residents. So we're going to go into the regular agenda. Communications from the Clerk of Council, Lisa Randolph.
Mayor, there's nothing at this time.
Okay. Communications from the Mayor. I don't have anything myself. Communications from Assistant Village Manager, Donna Pope.
I don't have anything.
Okay. All righty. So then we're going to go to the committee report from the Safety Chair, Ms. Jeter.
Well, I can say that the Safety Committee did meet, except for it's not due until the first meeting in November, I believe. First council meeting.
Okay. All righty. Thank you. Any old business? Okay.
I have a question, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
So I know that we have been talking with CT Consultants and that there was supposed to be an agreement in terms of the pro bono design services that they were going to do for Memorial Field. Have we followed up on that?
I wouldn't have received anything. That would have taken place with Mr. Dukes before he left, but I did not get any update from him before he left. I had scheduled to meet with him, but he said that Ms. Pope and Jamal will be able to fill me in on whatever was going on with updates. Ms. Pope,
Okay.
Is there anything regarding?
No, Jamal attended that meeting.
He attended the meeting with CT Consultants,
Yep.
but he wouldn't be the one to do the, okay.
Okay, so
Attended that meeting. So in other words, Jamal
Okay.
can give the update on that.
okay, so we haven't received any. So wait a minute. So Mr. Dukes, he had said that that you and him would be able to update me on anything. So we haven't received any email or anything with them. I know I haven't gotten anything from them.
The last meeting that he had with Stephanie, it was him and Jamal. I was not at that meeting, so I can't give you an update on that meeting.
Okay.
Mr. Willis
All right.
probably what happened.
Okay. He's off the call, so I'll do a follow-up and reach out and find out what's going on with them. And I'll report back out to council. All right. Next would be let's see, motion on the floor for resolution number 2020 R31, appointing Tanya Key to fill a vacant council seat. What's your pleasure, council?
Motion that we read about title only.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Roll call.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter,
Yes.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber,
Yes.
Councilman Durance Daniels,
Yes.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson,
Yes.
Mayor Ruby Kinsey Mumphrey.
Yes.
We have 6 aye votes. The motion does pass. Village of Lincoln Heights, Hamilton County, Ohio, resolution number 2020-R-31, resolution appointing Tanya Key to fill a vacant council seat.
Motion in order to suspend the rules for resolution 2020 R31.
So moved.
Second.
Wait, who?
It's been moved in second. Roll call.
Councilman Durance Daniels,
Yes.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter,
Yes.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber,
Yes.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson,
Yes.
Mayor Ruby Kinsey Mumphrey.
Yes.
We have 6 aye votes. The motion does pass.
Motion in order for passage of resolution 2020 R31.
Mayor, do we have any questions? When do we do that?
Oh. I was supposed to give the question before, but you can go ahead.
My question was, did we have any other candidates, qualified candidates?
Yeah, so we did receive a application, one application, but after talking to our tax administrator, they did not meet the qualifications. So we have not received any more at that time. Thank you,
Mayor.
Vice Mayor. Okay. Motion for passage of resolution 2020 R31.
Motion.
Second.
Wait.
It's Miss Jeannie.
Okay.
Miss Jeannie.
Thank you.
Okay. It was motion by Ms. Faber, second by Vice Mayor Stinson. Roll call, Ms. Randolph.
Councilman Durance Daniels,
Yes.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter,
Yes.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber,
Yes.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson,
Yes.
Mayor Ruby Kinsey Mumphrey.
Yes.
We have 6 aye votes. The motion passed.
Motion in order for the emergency clause of resolution 2020 R31.
Moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Roll call, Ms. Randolph.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter,
Yes.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber,
Yes.
Councilman Durance Daniels,
Yes.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson,
Yes.
Mayor Ruby Kinsey Mumphrey.
Yes.
We have 6 aye votes. The motion passed.
Okay. Well, since Mr. Desai is not here, I guess I give the honor of swearing you in. So I hope I get this right. All right. I guess I have a Bible here. I have a Bible here. Okay. Are you put your hand on you? You got your Bible? No, she doesn't.
That was a
All
magic
right.
trick.
I know.
All right. Do you solemnly swear that you will do the duties of the Village of Lincoln Heights to the best of your ability?
I do.
Okay. And will you support the council and work throughout the village to the best of your ability as well?
I will.
Okay. I, Ruby Kinsey Mumphrey, now, I'm so happy for this. I do now appoint you as council member for the Village of Lincoln Heights. Thank you, Ms. Key.
Who is Ruby Kinsey Mumphrey?
Mayor. I said me.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mayor.
the mayor.
Mayor, I, Ruby Kinsey, Mayor for the Village of Lincoln Heights, now appoint you, along with the vote of council, to take the seat for Council Member Tanya Key. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anything you wish to say, Ms. Key?
I just want to say thank you to the mayor and council for allowing me this opportunity again to serve the village. And hopefully I do a good job. And I'm looking forward to completing this term out. I do appreciate the person who left this position. Some of her work that she done was very admirable. So I do want to appreciate that. And I appreciate council. I'm very pleased at how council is moving forward out in the community, very visible in the community. And it's just a great day to be in the Village of Lincoln Heights.
Mayor.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I want to thank Councilwoman Tanya Keys for coming on board, because now she can chair that Economic Development Committee. Did I speak too soon? I may have spoke too soon, but okay.
No, you did not, because I know her meeting is going to be coming up. Did anybody else wish to say anything to Ms. Key?
Welcome back, Ms. Key.
Thank you for your considered service, Ms. Key.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. I appreciate you all, seriously.
Vice Mayor, she's blowing kisses at you. Ms. Baber?
Welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Baber. Look forward to working with you.
Yes.
So, Ms. Key, with that being said, Ms. Randolph will be getting those additional information and your laptop and everything. She'll have that ready for you by Wednesday afternoon.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. All righty. Okay, we're going to go into miscellaneous business. So, since we had some conversation at the last council meeting, we decided that we needed to bring this information up again, and for council, if you wanted to discuss it as well regarding the easement for Memorial Field. Is there anybody who needed to ask any question about it? We would like to have a conversation to move forward on what we need to do. Ms. Mitchell?
Being that there is, we have a possibility of about $400,000 worth of work that's going to be done on the field. And I think it is important that we do discuss the easement. I agree with the Vice Mayor that anytime that the village needs to go up on the field, that we should have something in writing. It's not uncommon for folks to get easements, and based on what Mr. Desai said, it seems like, it's a clouded issue. So I would like to offer a motion that we authorize the solicitor to investigate easements rights for the village to Memorial Field at a cost not to exceed $4,000 with the owner of the elementary school.
Vice Mayor?
It's a motion on the table and I can't ask a question.
If you second it, then you can ask a question.
I'm not seconding something I don't understand though. I got questions.
We can, if we can get a second, we still, just a second to hear it. That's basically what we need a second for, and then we'll come back and ask question if you want to do that. I basically was wanting to have a discussion, but is there a second to discuss?
I'll second it. Gosh, I'll second it.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
I'm not comfortable seconding that, especially since I don't know what, I don't understand easement in this talk. I don't understand needing to get somebody to take care of that. That's why I didn't vote for it the last time, because it really wasn't explained.
Okay. All right. So,
who's qualified to
Mitchell.
explain it?
I can explain something that we did before an easement. Mayor, want me to?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
when Woodlawn did their development on Timberland, then we gave an easement. If you come down Dixie and you come to that path where it's like a lot of, you have a fence that goes straight into, it goes across Lincoln Heights properties that people own, and it goes into Woodlawn. The only way that Woodlawn could get their fire trucks to turn around, they would have to come back out. They would have to make that egress out of Woodlawn by way of Dixie. So they asked us for an easement to allow them to ease on through that, to use that particular road. So if there's a piece of property and someone needs to access something, but there's property there, then you can get easement rights. Typically doesn't cost anything. It's usually just a resolution to say this is what the deal is. So it just allows you to cross somebody's property.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Key.
So which side are they looking to get the easement on? Does anybody know? Because we have one side that when you enter into Memorial Field, it's on the old high school side, right? And then the other side is on the old elementary side. Are we not just using our property to access the field, or is some of that that's in limbo trying to figure out who owns that property that enters into the field?
No, so the easement in question is even from the side you're talking about. If they have, you're still going to have to go into the other owner's property. When you go on the turn, you'll always have to go into it in order to get to the wide entrance. You can't take an ambulance or anything through there without being on that property. So that's why we were needing an easement, because we've been having a lot of issues. Yes, Councilman Daniels?
Well, my only question is, because once again, we talked about this last time, was the owner or the person that we'll have to be talking with, was he invited to this meeting to give his opinion on this matter? I know everybody said they've had meetings with him before in the past, but what I asked last time is that I would like for him to be at least offered an invitation to speak in front of all the council to give his thoughts on this matter. Was he invited to this meeting so we could have a further discussion is my only question.
But I would think that the village manager at that time would have talked to him about the easement, but I get what you're saying. But anytime a business wants to come to easement, yeah, they would speak with that person, so they would know. One reason why I wanted you guys to talk about it, so that we can have more conversation. Maybe we need to put in law, invite the owner to come to the meeting that way. Then you still, because we could do that. With that being said, Ms. Mitchell, would you want to rescind that motion? And in that way, we just take it into law
Well, I think that having him investigate the information and have it ready for the law committee, because we need to understand it. I think part of the problem is that knowing just for sure where the property lines are, even though we see that it goes up to that, to the telephone pole, basically, by the field, but we need to understand it. And I think that if we have some information from the attorney to investigate easement rights, then we have something to talk about. Right now, you know, we really don't have any information. So that simply gives Mr. Desai the authority to go and look at it and see what it is. It's not trying to take anybody to court. It is to investigate it because, as he stated, trying to find that information out through the auditor's map and all that information has been very ambiguous. So we need to have some information.
So,
But,
Madam
you
Mayor.
know, so it's just a matter of whether or not we pass the motion or not.
My hand has been up for a while now.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Ms. Faber, go ahead.
The person in question has been in court on several occasions for this property. So I'm sure that it's public record already that the property belongs to him. So why do we need to spend $4,000 to get information that we already have? And like I said, he's been to court on several occasions for this property, and this is all public knowledge. Any one of us can go down there and get this information. We don't need to spend the $4,000 to make it happen.
May I respond, Mayor?
Yes, Ms. Mitchell.
Ms. Baber, this although he's been to court or whatever for his property, it is not, we have not done anything towards easement. I don't know that he's done some things towards easement. So if you know that he's gone to court about easements.
I'm not talking easement, I'm talking his property. And
Well,
we don't have to
that.
spend $4,000 to get permission for an easement. Bottom line, that's what I'm saying.
Right, and we're not saying that it will cost $4,000. We're saying if it costs $50, fine, but they can't go over $4. But I'm just saying that we could take the $4,000 out, but we need to get some information about easement before we can. I mean, if we can talk about it, and he can come and say, yes, this is my property. It goes from here to here, and you cannot cross it unless you tell me, and that's fine. But again, all that needs to be in writing as to what that procedure would be to even go across his property any hour of the day or whatever. So at some point there has to be some kind of agreement, even if it's not an actual easement that sets that availability all the time.
Vice Mayor.
Has anyone had a conversation with the owner to see if that portion that we need to be able to access the field, if maybe they would sell us that? Is that an option? Is that an option so that we don't have to go through all of that?
Well, that's
Has that been addressed, that we asked that, can we just buy this portion that we need to get into the field that we, because to me, any rational person would maybe offer that. I can say what I want to say, I think, would offer that.
That wasn't for you, Vice Mayor, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the.
Okay, because
had nothing to do with you.
I don't understand why because I've been saying this since day one, we got to start building relationships with people, and we need that. It's okay to be nice to somebody when you need something from them, and we need that piece of property. We got our 75th coming up. Bottom line is we need something from him, and we can't be nasty when you need something from somebody. So I just would like to have a peaceful resolution to this, because the more upset we are, things that we go through and go back and forth, that just adds fuel to the fire, my opinion.
Yeah. So Hold on, Ms. Mitchell. So for me, that's why I wanted to bring it up, because we need to have ongoing conversation about it. Ms. Mitchell?
So Vice Mayor, you're saying buyer, so you want us to make an offer? So that means we still need to check to see what the possible value of that would be, from, like from the railing where the steps are, all the way to the side of our building, so that in the event that we redevelop the high school, we would need that area. So perhaps regardless, you still would need Mr. Decide to kind of check all that information out in terms of and bring something back to us to discuss about purchasing. I mean, I don't think he's going to say, Mr. Clark would say, okay, I'll sell it to you. I think that if we want to make sure that we have access to it, then I would agree with you then that we have to make the offer.
Mr. Daniels?
And just the Vice Mayor's point, I don't want to speak for Vice Mayor at all, but it sounds like even what she's saying is that you don't know until we bring Mr. Clark into some of these conversations. Once again, I know everybody has talked to Mr. Clark individually, but I believe it's a great idea just off the simple fact that she brought it up. It might even save us money in the long run, which Ms. Baber's talking about. So once again, if Mr. Clark was here right now, he might have just said, hey guys, and once again, I don't want to speak for Mr. Clark. I'm just giving an example. He might have said, I'll sell it to you guys for $1. Let's end the drama right now. But we don't know until we bring them into these conversations. And I think, Madam Mayor, you brought up a great point that let's move this into the law committee. And once again, we come back with a better understanding where all parties can have a better conversation as to how to move forward. So that's my.
Okay. Ms. Key? Any thoughts?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just still trying to quickly wrap my head around the area in which we're requesting. And I guess my understanding is we're just asking for permission to be on his property. And I think that I don't know that that warrants having to do an investigation. I guess is my thought. I don't know what our intended purpose is for this, using this piece of property going on. I never knew that we would have to use his side or Mr. Clark's property for anything that we've done except for Lincoln Heights days. I know we've used that area before, but the last couple times it's been fenced off. So I'm just a little confused. If we're just asking for permission to use it to do the things on Memorial Field, I would then put it in the hands of the village manager and just make that request on behalf of council. If we need something, I guess my other point is I'm a little confused as to, do we have blurred property lines? Do we not know who owns the property? Is that why we're trying to investigate? Or if we're just having the side just ask him permission to use this property? I'm still a little confused. So I'm just trying to wrap my head around what the motion is for and perhaps the background as to why the motion was presented.
Okay. So, Ms. Jeter?
Ms. Key, according to Mr. Clark, his property goes right up to that gate. That's his whole area in there. So you're gonna have to step your foot on his property to get to any parts of that.
So his property goes right up into the entranceway into Memorial Field?
According to him, yeah, right there, right down there. You have to step on it when you're going before you get to that gate.
Did he provide documentation of such?
He did show he showed Officer Bourne because he wanted to talk to him. And he showed him his property line. Now, I think what we do need to know is where is the actual property line, so.
If it's not from a surveyor, if a surveyor didn't create that document, if he's just simply going, and I'm just throwing this out there, if he's simply going by Hamilton County auditors, those lines are skewed. So I'm thinking that when he purchased the land, he had to have had it surveyed to find out where his property was. But that's not always necessarily the case that a property owner has to do that.
Yeah.
But at some point in time, so I'm going back to the motion. At some point in time, we need to know where our property line is.
Exactly.
if it's a dispute, then I think he has to prove that it's his. And if I heard Ms. Baber say that he's been to court several times, but I just don't know what he's been to court for. If he's been to court to show that that is his property and he can provide that, then that's his property. But if it's just to say what the auditors say, that's not necessarily the case. It has to be surveyed.
Ms. Mitchell?
I can't
Yeah,
help you
so
with
if
that.
it's an issue with the wording, with semantics in terms of investigate, I'd be willing to amend the motion to say explore what our easement rights might be. I mean, I don't want to say investigate like we're trying to go after him. That's not the case. But for Ms. Key's point, there is, I believe, Mayor CT Consultants kind of showed us that it goes up there as if there was a stake there, but it goes all the way up to the side of the building of the old high school, not just the driveway. But so if you tried to park,
right,
okay, you can't. So the only way that we can get to the field is to go through the entrance near Lindy and park and do whatever around the back, and then take that little narrow path to Memorial Field.
Okay. So Ms. Mitchell, do you want to just resend it and then we have more conversation about it in law? Because I'm not sure you're going to have a vote to get it through. And then we need more clarity.
Okay, go ahead. I mean, I don't have a problem if you want to do that. I mean, if it fails, it fails, but okay, I'll resend it. But I think we really need to begin to, to look at it, because even if you put it in law, we have to be able to talk about it intelligently. I'm just looking for some additional information. So where do we get that from?
Okay. So that's upon me to make sure I get some information to be ready for this law committee meeting, and so we can have some robust conversation at the law meeting.
Okay, we'll get it prior to the law meeting.
Yes. So Councilman Daniel, she rescinded, and I'll get as much information as I can for your meeting if that's okay.
Yes, ma'am. And just want to make sure I'm confirmed, because I know everybody's have a sense of urgency for time. The law meeting is Monday, so it's
Monday,
1 week
right
from today. So that gives enough time for us to gather more information, but we're still moving at a steady pace. So I think that's a great idea, Madam Mayor.
Monday at what time?
5:30, Ms. Phillips.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
And I've also just so we're clear, I've also invited Mr. Clark as well to that meeting. So I want him to be there. So
that's good. That's good. Thank you, Councilman Daniel. Okay, next, if there's nothing further, we're going to go to our corner agreement. Ms. Charles Jeter had brought to my attention some concerns that she has with some things that are going on. So Ms. Charles Jeter, can you speak on that since it was brought to you?
Yes, I've gotten several calls about our corner with the activities that's going on around there on Sunday from a couple of people. And one person actually went in and talked to Jamal, I think that's his name, that work in there, about what was going on and in that area. And they had they had a little disagreement going on. The sheriffs have been called several times up there. So the sheriff is not here today, but they do have reports as to how many visits that they've made up there and conversation that they've had. So I did go around to see what was going on one day, and one Sunday was a Saturday, I think it was Saturday. And they had something going on the backside of our corner. And people were parking everywhere on everybody's property. They had their chairs with them, and they were having a good time. So I didn't know what was happening in there, but the sheriff did tell me that, sent me a text, and also I saw another sheriff, and he said that he had been by there and he called it a social gathering. So he spoke to him, and all I did was just drove past so that the persons who called me would know that I actually did go to see what was happening. And that's where we are. It seems to be a lot of traffic on the weekends up there.
Okay, Ms. Mitchell.
So Mayor, I as well got some calls, and I think that it bears to say that if you look at the property adjacent to our corner, and if our corner owns that as well, you have so much debris in the back that it is a health hazard. And I think if we look at the communications that we get about the vandalism and everything that's happening to another property there, I think we need to begin to look at section 93 to 96 in our administrative code that talks about a nuisance. I'm not sure what the what our agreement has, unless you have that, what they can and cannot do. And the fact that they are, I guess we still have, don't we still kind of follow the order of gathering that the state or the county has put out? So we need to begin to look at that information and gather that information to see if there's a nuisance going on, because I would say that it is. These are not the first complaints that we've gotten on that, in that area, whether it's our corner or another residence. It has been happening up there at the first part of that block.
Okay. Yes, Vice Mayor.
I think we need to revisit what was emailed to us about what they signed off on and said that they would do and did not do. And it's been over a year, I'm sure.
Yes. So if you all at your leisure look through the email, I saw the old email that Vice Mayor is speaking on, and that will have the agreement and the signatures, and review that, and we'll be able. Yes, ma'am. I sent it today, Mayor.
All right.
Yes, ma'am. So, so like council to look that over, so we'll be able to have another conversation on that.
So will that be put in law?
If Mr. Daniels allows it, yes. Mr. Daniels?
That's fine. We can bring this to the law. Do you guys want to put this on the agenda for Monday? And if so, just like anything else, I would like to invite the owners of that facility as well. This is America. Everybody has their chance to give their wording. So if we're going to put this in the law, I would also like to send an invitation out to the owners of that facility as well, because just like anything else, I don't feel like we can just make an arbitrary decision without somebody else giving their opinion. So I have no problem bringing this along.
Vice Mayor.
It sounds like Mr. Daniels has a lot going on in law this month. I think it should go into law, but I don't know if I need to make a motion or just a recommendation. I think that this situation here needs to go to the solicitor, since they signed a contract or an agreement and they breached it. I think that should go to Deepak, and then he come to us with what he recommends that we should do once they breach their agreement, which they breached a long time ago.
Right, so that's why I forwarded to you all, and I will reach out to Mr. Desai so he can get back with us. I know it's going to be a couple of days because he had death in the family, but we can do that.
Madam Mayor.
But you know, he does have someone work when he's out, so they'll be able to review that information. Yes, Ms. Baber.
Oh, I just want to say, I don't know about them breaching any contract or anything, but I do want to point out that even Ms. Jeter said when she went up there, she noticed that people were having a really good time. And that's something that's not really happening out here in Lincoln Heights. That's something that we used to do all the time. We used to have a good time. That's why I invested my dollars here in Lincoln Heights. So I don't know if they done anything wrong, but when I was up there on a Saturday or Sunday or whatever day they was having that function, just like Miss Jeter said, they were having a really good time. Bottom line.
During COVID, when we should be socially distancing?
That was social distancing.
You can have a good,
but
I went by there. I didn't see that. I didn't see any social distancing.
The families and the people that normally be together was together like at any establishment. If you go right up there on Sharon Road, right there next to the high school where they just put this new bar or whatever it is up there, and they have the doors open. It be people, the people, the family.
That's those people.
The family members or whatever.
I don't fool with my family because I don't want COVID. I don't know where they be.
I'm talking about the immediate families or the immediate people that normally be together. They are up there together. Go up there and look on Chester Road. They're having a wonderful time up there.
I think the issue has to do with the social distancing, especially with the Hamilton County.
But I'm saying they had their face masks. And only the people together was the immediate people that be together anyhow. And that's how it is in any establishment.
What you want?
Did you see social distancing?
I didn't see folks distancing. All I saw was people going on the Chester side through the whatever area that they've opened up to go in. That's what I saw. I was driving, so I looked over there and people were coming down the street, the sidewalk, whatever, going in there, and they were all happy.
Yeah, but
the sheriff said that it was a social gathering. That's what he told me. That's it.
All I'm saying is they have individual tables and it'd be individual people at different tables. And they do have the face mask. And that's how it is in any establishment.
I saw no face mask, but Phyllis was on the inside. I wasn't. I was driving.
No, actually, I was in the parking lot and I could see back there.
Okay. Did you see the cars parked on folks' yards? Because that was the problem.
I didn't see that the day that I was up there, but I did see people with face masks and I seen them at their individual tables.
Okay, so what I'm gonna recommend that on the email that I sent everybody, for everyone to go to review the cooperation agreement, because if my memory serves me right, that particular area in their agreement was not to be used. They made them pull chairs and tables off. So I'm going to suggest everyone at their leisure go over the cooperation agreement, and I will follow up with Mr. Desai. Okay.
Yeah. May I say one more thing, Madam Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
I believe in that agreement is that they were not allowed to buy drinks and go out there and drink. They didn't say that they couldn't have like normal, like functions where people do gather occasionally.
The agreement that they breached had something to do with right of entry.
They couldn't use it like it was a restaurant.
Okay, then we need to just read and understand then for the law committee. That's all.
All right, sounds good to me. All right. Let's see. Any other miscellaneous business, council? Okay. All right. Next is there an executive session?
I'd like the motion that we go into executive session to discuss village employment.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Roll call, Ms. Randolph.
Councilman Durance Daniels.
Yes.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter.
Yes.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber.
Yes.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell.
Yes, is that, go ahead, yeah, I have a question, but go ahead, yes.
Councilwoman Tanya Key.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson.
Yes.
And Mayor Ruby Kenzie Mumfree.
Yes.
We have 7 aye votes. The motion passed.
Mayor, are you gonna have any questions, ask any questions on the motion?
No.
I don't understand that. Are you saying no, no
You said
questions on
yes.
the motion?
They
Do we
already
not-
did the vote, Miss. No,
I'm sorry?
they've already voted.
I know, but
Go ahead.
Mary, after whenever there's a motion, there's always, are there any questions on the motion? But okay. But we never do that. That's fine, Mayor. That's fine.
All right, we're going to the thing. Let's go.
That ain't even right.
Everybody
That's
should have
not
an
right.
email
Thank
with
you.
the link. Stephen, we're coming back in. Oh, he's there. Good.
Stephen said he want to go home. I mean, he want to go to bed. It's late.
Can't hear you, Mayor.
You got to call in again.
Was we doing roll call? Did Ms. Lisa call my name? Did you call my name?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
I was waiting for the mayor.
All right, thank you. Tired.
Are you saying something, Mayor? We can't hear you.
Are we live stream, Stephen?
Yes.
We ready?
Yes. We're live.
Yes, you guys are good to start.
Okay. All right. The Village of Lincoln Heights Village Council is now back in session. The date, October 26th, time is 10:24 p.m. Roll call, Ms. Randolph.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber,
Present.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter,
Present.
Councilman Durant Daniels, Councilwoman Tanya Key,
Present.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell,
Present.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson,
Present.
Mayor Ruby Kenzie Mumphrey.
Present.
We have 7 who are present. We do have a quorum.
Motion in order for an adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night.
Good night,